issues in the past interviews was like sharing what is your weakness. So when this question comes, I kind of like don't have a lot of good examples.
Make sure you don't say something which is your weakness, something which is a very normal or standard trait that an organization looks for.
What are the expectations, or what do you look in your manager?
Yeah, I think there are two angles to look at this question. One is if you will have people reporting, and if you answer this question, you kind of tell them what kind of manager you will be.
So the third one is, how do you handle stress?
Number one is I think you need to, for any problem, any situation, the answer needs to be to understand the source.
No, Bahroz, thank you so much. I mean, it was a great session. Like, I learned so much, and I mean, this were like the most difficult and troublesome questions for me. So that context and the information which you have provided, like, it really saved me a lot of time. Like, just searching on internet. So, no, I am really, really thankful and grateful that you are able to provide those answers. And yeah, this session has been very helpful, and the insights you provided were like really brilliant. So no, I think it was a great session. You were really, really great. So thank you so much.
Cool. Hello friends, my name is Bahroz. I'm a finance executive by profession, and welcome to my channel where I share with you how you can achieve career and financial success. Now this video is a recorded video session that I had with one of my followers. It's actually a coaching session with regards to how you can do better at interviewing. So this individual had a couple of questions that he wanted to ask me and wanted some clarifications. So I answered those questions, which are very important, very valuable questions. Almost every other individual I connect with and I coach have these questions. So I thought might as well just record a session so it can benefit all the people who come on my channel to get value from the content that I post. And secondly, I also had a mock question and answer session with this individual where I asked a mock question and he answered back, and then I told him or helped them how they can go about improving that particular answer. I do offer a one-to-one coaching session on career, interviewing, and personal finance. In case you are interested in that, you can book a session with me. I will leave the link to booking the session with me and the details in the description of this video. Now, apart from moving forward, I have to ask for you. In case you find any value from this video, please press the like button. Second, also press the subscribe button so you get notified as soon as I put new content on this channel pertaining to career and financial success. So if these are two topics which you are interested in, this channel is right for you. Now, let's get rolling into the video. So, Uzair, if you can quickly introduce yourself, again, whatever introduction you can give, where you're from, what profession you're from, and all, that would be nice as well.
Sure. So my name is Uzair Ali Sayed. I have been in Canada from like last 5 years. Recently graduated like in 2020, and after that, I've just been working in like security and investigations industry. And my like main profession is like in the scheduling, which is like kind of falls under operations management. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I've been in this industry from last 3 years, and yeah, that's it.
Got it, Uzair. Thank you. So, Uzair, this is what I recommend how we run this session. So, I'll skip my introduction because I assume you know me already. You've seen a lot of me on LinkedIn and probably some of it on YouTube as well. How about we start with your questions, any questions that you have, and then towards the end we can take one or two mock examples as if you are appearing in an interview and a question asked of you. How would you go about answering it? And then I can help you improving that particular answer and making it more better and more bulletproof. So let's start with your questions first. So tell me, what questions do you have?
Okay. So the biggest one I think I had issues in the past interviews was like sharing what is your weakness. So when this question comes, I kind of like don't have a lot of good examples, because at the same time I need to provide a very good answer. But so yeah, I just wanted to ask you, like, what is the best approach to answer this question?
So what have you been using as an answer? Let's start with that.
Yeah. So I usually the framework I used is like I use the job description, so for which I'm applying, and I try to pick up the skills which like usually are not so much required for that role. So if you use those examples, So, for example, like if a job description requires like communication, writing skills, but doesn't require like a lot of presentations and stuff, so I will just use that. Hey, like I'm not very good at presentation, but like I'm working on it. But yeah, this wouldn't be like my strength. So
Okay.
that's
So
what.
here is this is a good approach, but here is how I will expand on it. Number one is make sure you don't say something which is your weakness, something which is a very normal or standard trait that an organization looks for. So, for instance, you cannot say that I'm not good in collaboration. When you join an organization, you have to work with other people. You cannot say I'm not good with other people. So, or you can't say I'm not good at being in a stringent format of, let's say, 9 to 5, because I can't follow a routine. You can't say I can't follow a routine, right? So these are the
Right.
things which are essential. So basic things you can't say. This is number one.
Mhm.
Second is read through the job description and make sure there is nothing on the job description which you want to say. So, for instance, job description says we need someone who has people leader experience, or you will be leading a team, and you go like, I don't, I cannot lead a team. Or we want
Right.
someone who has good communication, and you say I am weak in communication. You cannot say
Mhm.
those elements. So, nothing which is very standard generic trait. Imagine if you are an employer, you don't want to hire someone who says collaboration is an issue, communication is an issue, and
Mhm.
things like that. Now, if you can't talk about the generic things, if you can't talk about the job description, so the question is, what can you talk about?
Right.
Usually, there are two things which I recommend. One is around personality,
Mhm.
and the other one is around scope. So, for instance, communication, you won't say that I cannot communicate, but you can say that I find it hard, or it's more challenging for me to present to a big audience.
Mhm.
Let's say if I have to talk to an audience of 100 people, I've never done this and I find this as a weakness. So whenever I'm in a big forum where I have to communicate to large number of people, that is
Yeah.
something which I need to improve on.
Mhm.
What you're essentially telling them is, for the job you need me, which is in a smaller group, in a meeting I can communicate, I can present to a few people. But if I have to present to 100 people on a plant setting, let's say it's a manufacturing plant and you have to talk to the entire plant, you're not good at public speaking. That could be in short words. So the scope changes, which
Mhm.
is if you change the scope of the situation, you say, in the scope that you need me, my communication or my speaking ability is very good. But if you broaden the same scope, I'm not that good. But guess what? They don't need you for the broadened scope. They don't need you for public speaking. They only need you for limited scope. So they'll be like, I get it. It is a weakness, makes sense, but not a weakness which will impact our work.
Mhm.
The other one, which I like even more, is around personality, which is the one I give is I say I'm an introvert. So for me, it is very difficult to brainstorm something on the spot. So if you call me in the room and say, This is the problem, let's just think about it," it is challenging for me to solve or to brainstorm. So what I prefer is, if you tell me what the problem is, I'll go sit at my desk, think about it, and then come in the room and tell you how to solve that problem or what my recommendations are. So the idea is, given I'm an introvert, I need more space, more time. Similarly, I'm someone who has difficulty to let go of things. Again, this is a personality thing. So if I start something, it is very difficult for me to let go of that particular project. Now, once you've talked this, once you've stated your weakness, you also have to tell the interviewer how you will cover up for this weakness, or what are you doing to improve yourself around this weakness. And here, for instance, you say something like, in terms of being an introvert, I make sure that I inform everyone that I'm better off if you give me an issue, if you give me a situation, I can think about it and then we brainstorm. Second is, in terms of you not letting go of things, again, here you can talk about how you work now is you break your task into different sections. So there's a big project you're working on, you'll take it section by section. So you get hung up, or you get associated with the section but not the entire project. So as long as the section is complete, you go like, I've done this task, I can transfer it to someone else. So I've become more organized towards how I do my work. So that could be another thing as well. Again, I have made a separate video on this on my channel where I talk about other elements or other examples you can use for weakness as well. I'll leave the link somewhere here or in the description of this recorded session. Was this helpful?
Yeah, definitely. I think I got to learn two new approaches, like what you mentioned about the scope and also like the personality trait. Yeah, I think those were two definitely good angle which we can consider, and like I didn't know before that. So thank you for sharing that.
Cool. Good. Thank you. So, Zed, next question.
Yeah. So the next question is more related to like supervisor. So whenever like they are hiring, the hiring manager always asks like, what are the expectations or what do you look in your manager? So because like we haven't been in touch with that manager because it's a new job, new interview, so we don't know their personality. So what can be like the common or general characteristics which we can describe that this is something what we are looking in a supervisor that can also make the hiring manager feel that okay, this is like good candidate.
Yeah, I think there are two angles to look at this question. One is if you will have people reporting, and if you answer this question, you kind of tell them what kind of manager you will be. And if you won't have people reporting, then it's very clear they just want to know what kind of manager they should be. So if you have people management that will come to you, then you give an answer from that angle, which is to explain them what kind of manager will you be, because you want someone to be your manager the way you want yourself to be as well. And here, what I would recommend is talk about the leadership angle. So in leadership, essentially, there are few there are a couple of E's. So one is enable, one is envision, and the other one is energize, and there are other as well, but I'll stick to these three. So one is enabling and moving away any roadblocks. So that is what I expect from my manager. I don't expect them to do my work. I expect them to support my work in order for my work to get implemented and executed. So whatever the roadblocks are, let's say regarding budgets, regarding getting support from top management and all, I need that. Envisioning is telling me what is that the company wants, what is that we want to achieve, where do we want to go, having that vision. And the third piece which I talked is energizing, so motivating, setting an example, so we can learn from that example and do and execute what I want to execute or what needs to be executed. Now this is from the angle if you will get people reporting, and if you believe that the question they're asking you is for them to judge you, what kind of leader would you be. So you'll talk about enablement, energizing, and envisioning. If it is purely the question the way it is asked, which is I'm the interviewer, I will be your hiring manager, I really like you, I want to hire you, but I just want to know what kind of relationship you want me to have with you. In that case, what I say is I would want them to look at me. Not this is not what I'll say, but what I'll say is should tell them or give them a feeling that I would be an individual which will be low cost maintenance, low maintenance. People, managers like reportees who are low maintenance. Like they don't have to, they go in a one to one with them. It's a 5 minute thing. They talk and they go out. They tell them what to do, it gets done. They don't crib about work. They don't cry. They don't make noise. They just get the work done. So what I do is I say what I expect from my leader is to give me transparency. Understand what I want from my career, and then let's say I want to move from place A to place B. Tell me what will it take to move from place A to place B. This is what my leader needs to do. And then at any given point in time, give me the transparency if I'm on track. And the day I'm not on track, let me know that I'm not on track. So I go on track. And the day they think that I cannot reach place B in this organization, be very honest and tell me there and then. So I can make a choice whether I would want to continue in this organization where I can't reach place B, or otherwise I will leave the organization altogether. So transparency and honesty is super important for me. This way, the manager will think this guy will do their work. This guy doesn't need help with the skills, the work. This they will just get everything delivered. All I need to do is help them reach or advance in their career. So that is all I have to do. which is again low cost or low maintenance. Make sense?
Perfect. Yeah, makes sense. I think, yeah, honesty, and if we bring those two things, I think definitely that will give the hiring manager confidence in the candidate, and those are like really good points that you brought up.
Cool,
Um,
cool. What else?
okay. So the third one is, how do you handle stress? Now this one is, I know it's very like generic, but there could be like multifaceted answers which we can give, right? Because stress can also be sometimes unreasonable, and sometimes it can also be like a very normal situation. So what would be like the best approach in like defending or like to justify this question?
So number one is I think you need to for any problem, any situation, the answer needs to be to understand the source or understand the problem. And here it is important that you say, first of all, I would like to understand what is the source of the stress. Is source of the stress that I am not capable to do a task? Is the source of the stress that I find that I'm in a difficult situation or a difficult spot with regards to my job security, my project security, things like that? So, is it because there is nothing wrong at my end, but it's just that the project is delayed for some other reason? So, what is the source of the stress? Why am I stressed? Or is it because, as I said, my capability that I cannot deliver because I don't have this capability, I don't have this knowledge? So is it the skill issue? Is it capacity issue that I don't have the capacity because I have so much things going on that I cannot deliver on it? So find out what is the source of the stress. This is true for any problem. Any problem that comes, you need to find out why that problem exists. Second is you have to do a few things, which is one is create systems around it. So whatever the stress is, let's say if the stress is around project getting delayed because there are not many resources available anymore, then you create a system or a process in order to make sure that you bring the project back to drawing board, see what are the critical factors of the projects that need to be delivered a must, what are the parts of the projects that you can let go of and don't need to work on and save time, and if there is a way to create a minimal viable product as against trying to create or deliver the full project. So how can you optimize the project's timeline in order to fit in the deadline? So going back to the drawing board and creating a system and a process to deliver it all over again. Whenever you have a system or a process, you become stress free, right? Because you know this is the process that will be followed for you to deliver it. What brings stress is uncertainty. So someone comes to you and says the project is now, instead of being delivered in 1 month, has to be delivered in 1 week. Oh, I'm stressed. How will I do it? But suddenly, when you know how you will do it, the stress is gone because now you know how you will do it. So create the system and the process. The second piece is around which is around capacity is practice. So whatever skill that you lack or you're not capable of, you practice. So let's say the stress is about you delivering um, a presentation, and maybe you feel that you're not confident with the presentation that you have to deliver and you're stressed about it. Just practice is so much that you ace it. You can deliver that task in your dreams, and then you come and then you make the presentation and you ace it. The third element is seeking support. So if you don't have the capacity, you don't have the capability, then you seek support from your manager or from your team with regards to if there is someone who's more capable of presenting a particular part of your slide or your presentation or taking charge of a particular part of the project. And if there's more people you can add to the project so you can deliver the project on time, that's another thing that you can do. Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. I think the hierarchy which you followed definitely makes sense. Like first to like practice and like make systems, then increase your capacity by practice, and then lastly, just to seek for help. So yeah, that makes sense. Thanks for sharing.
Cool. What else?
Okay. Okay. So this one is which I think every interviewer asks, like, where do you see yourself in next 5 years? Again, based upon the job title, the career you are, or the organization you are, this answer can vary in like multiple ways. But what I'm looking to learn is, should we focus more on like our profession, like, or like the technical skills which we have, or should we focus on like the organization, like if it's a very good organization, large, like we will have growth scenarios, more to grow in this company. So that's what I want to like clear.
Yeah, this is slightly difficult. This is a difficult question. Not that all other questions are very easy, but this is a difficult one. What I would recommend is, if you've read the job description, you need to convince the manager or the interviewer that in next 5 years you would be, or maybe 3 years, not 5 years. I know the question is 5 years, but in next 3 years you would have aced everything that is in the job description, learn all the skills and master the skills. So you say in the so and maybe you can divide the answer into two. Say in the very short term, my aim is to master all the job requirements that are there, maybe a year or two, really ace them. That is where I see myself, like coming out of, like, in second year or third year, you consider me as an expert in this role, and I've developed an equity of someone who possesses and is an expert in the area, is an expert in the role, and people become a go-to person. And then in the balance of 2 or 3 years in the organization, I would want to expand my opportunities and develop myself more. So what you are essentially saying is, when you join the organization, you're learning. When you're in the middle of your tenure, you're contributing back. And then towards the end of the tenure, you're expanding self to gain more knowledge, to gain more understanding. Now, you don't have to say that you want to get promoted, but expansion means actually that you get more responsibility. So you can even say, I want to expand on the responsibility that I have, so I learn more and I can have a bigger influence in the organization towards the end of my 5 years. So this is kind of a three-phase way versus just saying, I want to achieve a utopian dream. I think it was more structured. If you give an answer like in a very short term, in the first 1 year, it is all about me learning. In the second, third year, it is about me contributing and developing an equity of a go-to person and an expert. In the last 3 years of that 5 year, for me to expand and gain, make my scope of responsibility bigger, increase the responsibilities that I have, and have a bigger impact in the organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the way you break up was, yeah, just like first 2 years you're just like a new, you are gathering skills. After that you become more proficient and a go-to person, and then obviously after that you're looking for more opportunities. Yeah, I think that that's a good structure to answer the
Cool.
question.
Thank you. I've also made a video on this as well. I would recommend you check it out as well. Where do you see yourself in next 5 years or 3 years? I will also leave the link of this video, of that video, here in the description of this video. Let's take one more question, Uzair, and then we can move into some mock examples.
Sure, sure. So this one is like, if you're looking for a new job, right? And then if they ask you about your past job, so like, how would your boss or colleagues describe you, right? So in answering this question, what kind of like caution should we use? Should we only share like good and positive things, or should we also share like, maybe not negative, but like the weak areas as well?
You don't share weak areas at all. You don't share a weakness till you're asked to weakness. This is your session, or this is your moment to sell yourself, and you sell yourself the best way. um, so don't talk about your weakness at all. Just talk about the good things. Those good things should be related to what is in the job description. The interviewer is looking to the job description or to the values of the companies and saying, this is the kind of person I want to hire. So make sure whatever you tell them relates to that. So for this, what you have to do is not just read the job description, but also read what are the values and the principles that the company is looking for. So let's say for Amazon, they have those 14 principles. For P&G, they have 5 peak performance factors. Similarly, there are other companies, they have those values. Make sure you read them and tell the interviewer that you possess those values. And then if there are any certain things in the job description which really pop out, like if they're looking for a strong people leader, you say, you are good with people, you have good teaching and coaching skills and things like that. So make sure you say all positive and nothing negative. Cool? Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah, cool.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, Uzair, let's move into a mock question and answer session. So, what I'll do is I'll ask you maybe a leadership question. And the reason I ask you a leadership question is because it's one of the most important questions that gets asked in an interview. And let's see how you would answer in an interview. And then I'll see if there are ways for you to improve on it. Make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me about a time, Uzair, when in your past experience you led a project or you led a team. Tell me what was the issue that you were solving? How did you solve the issue? And what were the results?
Sure. So, in one of my past jobs, I was working as a project coordinator with a team of like 10 people, and I was reporting to my project manager. So, one of the main issues in that project was regarding the meetings and the time consumed in those meetings. So, one of the biggest challenge was like there were a lot of meetings scheduled, and unfortunately not a lot of output work was produced at the end of the meeting, and that was causing the project to get delayed. So I got a kind of a smaller mini project from my leadership, asking me, as because I'm leading that project, although reporting to my manager, is to find ways to cut down the meeting time and utilize the time more effectively. So what I did is, because that was the biggest challenge, and like a lot of time was waste, resources were waste. So what I did is, instead of directly reaching out to my team members, I created a survey, and in a constructive way, and shared it with my team members. And that survey just consisted of asking questions like, do you think the like our meetings worth of time, do you think you're getting your work done? So I sent that survey, I gathered the data, also had like a group discussion regarding the same topic, and whatever insights came, I shared with the leadership team. So one of the main reason was the meetings were like very unstructured. They didn't have like any agenda. So first of all, we kind of tried to fix that. Also, the meetings were like too lengthy. So we tried to like compress the time. That was like the second biggest like element to why the meetings were like unproductive. So yeah, this was the example which I would think that it was a very big obstacle, and I tried my like in the communication way, or like getting to just know the people and produce the insights and then send to the leadership team.
Thank you. So this is a good example, but I think we can do some work here. One is I love the way you did the context. The best part was you told me what the challenge was. So you gave me the story. You have 10 people, coordinator, and all, but then you summarize it for me very simple. You said the challenge was a lot of meeting and time consumption. That is all I wanted to know from the context. And you made it so simple for me in the end because you kind of gave me a summary in one line, saying all of this, but in end, the challenge is this. So now I know whatever actions you will take are to solve meeting and time consumption. That's it. It was very well done. Action. In the action, you talked about collect doing the survey. I think it is very important that you kind of give a headline here as well. Headline is my first objective was to collect data.
Okay.
So you say it that what was the objective in one line, and then the question is how did you go about doing it? So you have to tell me what did you do, why you did it, and how you did it. So what is collecting the data? Why you collected the data is because you wanted to make a informed decision or informed action as against just going by your hunch. And how did you go about collecting the data? Now, the how is I did a survey. I sent out a survey with these couple of questions. You have to give the details. What were the key
Okay.
questions which were asked? And I collected all the survey. And not just that. After collecting the survey, I filtered the survey for the key points which were common themes. And then, based on those common themes, I had a group discussion in order to now this is the second step. This is not collecting data. Now you're going into further details. Why are
Right.
you doing this group discussion is for me to get the reasons behind the answers that they've given. They just told me there is an issue, this is what is causing the issue, but just to understand what is the context, what is the reason behind it. So for those common themes, which were three, I did a group discussion to understand examples of it, so we can really understand where is it, what is the source of the issue, but not just the examples, but also to understand how do we think we can solve them, because I wanted the solution to come from the team as against me giving the solution. Now you're saying these things which are smart things to say in an interview, because the interview goes like, this is smart. He is more of a servant leader, which is getting the solution from the people. I collected those insights, solutions, then connected with my manager. This is step three. So number three, I went to my manager, shared with them the insights in order to get their buy-in and get their support and alignment. So you're someone who will not just get the work done, but will also get support and help from your management. Then after, so far it was still good the way you were answering. It's just that I think you can improve it. Where you really lost me and I felt not so good is, you said, and then we did two things. Meeting were meetings were not lengthy or something like that.
Right.
But say more. What do you mean meetings were now structured? What did you do to make them more structured? So going
Mhm.
forward, what we did was, we did two things out of coming out of this session. One was, always start with an agenda and
Mhm.
have the owners against the agenda in the meeting, so we know exactly who needs to be in the meeting, what will be talk in the meeting, and who doesn't need to join.
Right.
Second, have a summary for the meeting done. After the meeting, there is a summary written. So for people who could not join, they can review the summary, or have a next steps as well for the meeting. So people know exactly what do they need to do after they come out of the meeting, what needs to be executed. So give more detail. Just don't say it was now structured. Everything was good. Or you have to give detail. What do you mean
Right.
everything? What did you do? Because the interviewer is looking for the actions that you've delivered. And hence that piece is very important. Cool. Thank you, Zed. Do you have any other question? Maybe we have some time, another 2 3 minutes. I can take another question and then we'll close the session.
Sure. So, yeah, again, this is like a
And
very
sorry,
common.
Zed. Sorry. Before you go into the question, I tell me what told you about the example, the mock example. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I did realize when I was responding to answer that, like my the third part of the answer, where like what action I took and what the result came after. I could have added more information, because that was, I think, the like the part of my answer.
Yeah.
So no, I totally get it, and yeah, thank you for adding those like information.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry. Now you can jump into the question you had.
Um, So the question was like sometimes recruiters ask like what was the most challenging decision you have ever made. Now they don't specifically clarify like are they looking in like professional life or are they looking in like overall life, because sometimes a recruiter also want to judge like how you are as a person outside of the work practice as well. So, what do you think is like the safest answer you can give in such a situation?
So professional always. So try to pick
Oh,
an example from profession as against personal. It's okay to do personal, but only if you are hard pressed and you don't have a professional example. So this is one. Second is, it is not important that it has to be the most difficult decision, by the way. It is not
okay.
important. The issue is when someone says, think of the most difficult decision, you really start thinking of a difficult decision. It has to be a decision which you took. They don't know if it's a difficult decision or not. It is you who will qualify whether it's difficult or not. It is you who will explain whether it's difficult or not. Even if the decision was whether to do a survey or to have one to one connect with people for this particular example, it's not a difficult decision, but you will decide whether it's difficult or not. So you will tell them that you had an option of either connecting with them directly or doing a survey. The reason it was a difficult decision, so you'll have to explain why it was difficult, is because previously uh, there were projects which were done in order to solve the meeting issue or the time consumption issue, but they didn't go anywhere. And hence I wanted to make sure that I don't over promise people something And so it was a difficult decision to know to exactly go one to one, collect information, or to do start with the survey. Now I'm just making up an example. Maybe it's not the best of the examples, but what I'm saying is you need to give an example for which you have a lot of details and meat, as against the really the most difficult decision. So for instance, for me, the life's most difficult decision was moving from Middle East to Canada. But it's very personal. It doesn't have a lot of meat, and it has a lot of aspects which are personal aspects, not a lot of professional aspects. So even if that's the difficult decision, I would not choose that. Similarly, the most difficult decision for me professionally was to decide whether we spend the amount of money that we spend. So $50 million is most difficult. It is more difficult to make a decision on $50 million as against on $10 million, like rationally speaking. But it could be that you have more details on that $10 million spend. If you have more details and more meat on the $10 million spend, that you use that as an example. Now they don't know whether 50 million is a big number or 10 million is a big number for your organization. So you can say it was a $10 million project and it was massive investment, and everyone was concerned whether we should do it this way or not this, or even though if you've had made decisions which were worth $50 million, but you don't have a lot of meat there because they were simple decisions, or they were difficult decisions, but you don't have a lot of they didn't require a lot of actions, a lot of consideration. It was a difficult one. You took a risk, you did it. Even though it was $50 million, it's a bad example. I would use a $10 million example or $1 million example, but where you have more things to talk about, more actions you took. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think that was very helpful because you are right. Like when they say difficult, you start trying to think, oh, what was the most difficult? But the important thing is, as you mentioned, where you can speak more, where you have more context, and they don't know like what situation you are. So yeah, it was terrific and very helpful. Thank you.
Cool, cool. Thank you, Uzair. Uzair, thank you for again agreeing to come on the session, asking your questions. I would just like to have towards the end any feedback you have. Like, was the session helpful? Did you got what you wanted? I know you had more questions you sent me, but for time sake, we can't cover all of them. But I would love to understand from you, was it what you were expecting? Is it better than you were expecting? Below than what you were expecting? Just be honest. Would love to know. And the reason I would love to know is not because of feedback, but also because I want to improve, and I want to help people more. So I just want to make sure that I deliver what you were expecting. And if not, I know what I need to improve on.
Perfect. So, no, Barros, thank you so much. I mean, it was a great session. Like, I learned so much. And I mean, this were like the most difficult and troublesome questions for me. So, that context and the information which you have provided, like, it really saved me a lot of time, like, just searching on internet. So, no, I am really, really thankful and grateful that you are able to provide those answers. And yeah, this session has been very helpful, and the insights you provided were like really brilliant. So no, I think it was a great session. You were really, really great. So thank you so
Cool.
much.
Thank you, Zed. So nice connecting with you. And
Thank you.
best of luck. And let's stay in touch. If you have any questions, just drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'm very much responsive there. Would be able to help you as much as I can. Cool.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully, after watching this video, you are now more aware with regards to any interview process that you would be going into. As I said previously, in case you're interested in booking a one-to-one session with me where I can do a mock interview with you, you can do so using the link that I will leave in the description of this video. In case you found value in this video, there is another video on my channel where I talk about how you can go about introducing yourself in an interview. Check that out. Other than that, there is another video where I talk about what kind of reverse interview questions you should be asking. You can check it out here. Thank you.